Hey, welcome to another episode of Coffee in College. I'm your host, Priyanka, college counselor of over 10 years, and AP scores just came out. So, congratulations to all of you who did really well, and to all of you who didn't. That just sucks. That sucks after having put in so much effort through the entire school year to do all that AP classwork, only to then not do so well in the AP exam. And now, I'm sure the question you probably have in mind is, okay, well, do the universities really need to know how I did? Okay, does the university need to know I failed my AP, I didn't get the college credit, etc.? So let's talk about that. All right, before we dive in, grab your favorite cup of coffee, tea, whatever you prefer, and have a seat. Let's talk. First of all, what are AP exams? If you're not familiar with what AP exams are, simply put, they are these higher or AP classes. Let's start there. So advanced placement AP classes are basically these higher level classes that a good chunk, let's put it that way, a good chunk of high schools tend to offer. You have the standard classes, you have the honors classes in terms of difficulty level, and then you have the advanced placement classes. Now, at your high school, you might also have some other tiers in between, but usually the advanced placement classes tend to be the most difficult available, unless your high school also has an international baccalaureate, IB program. We'll talk about that another time, but ultimately, they're the harder classes in the school. Now, how does this work with the AP exams? So in general, students tend to take AP classes during the school year, and then in May, they test at a national level on whatever subject it is that they're taking the AP class for. The exams are scored on a scale of 1 to 5, with 3 being the passing, okay, which basically means that you may receive college credit for it, but majority of universities tend to prefer that students get a 4 or a 5 in order to earn college credit. Okay, so now, with all of that in mind, what happens if you failed an AP exam? You can't technically fail, I know, I'm going to get posts in the comment section about that, but let's say you scored below a 3 on the AP exam. What happens now? Do the universities need to know that you did not so great? Well, I'll give you 2 options here. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I will give you 2 options, and just make sure that you're consistent and think about it before you choose. So option number 1 is to just share your score. Just tell them how you did, but you have to frame it correctly. In the entire college applications process, what most people don't realize is that it's not necessarily about the activities that you did, it's about how you talk about what you did. All right, and it's the same thing whether it's a win or if it's a loss. So in terms of APs, if you didn't do so well, it's okay. Maybe you find somewhere in your application to talk about it. Sure, you might not have done well in the AP, but you know what? Maybe that's the class you learned how to be resilient, and maybe that's a class where you really learned you upped your skills in whatever that subject is. Maybe that's the class where you learned what it means to be able to study, to actually be able to take notes and organize yourself systematically, and then execute on whatever, maybe it was a writing essay, maybe it was this test, whatever project, etc. So think about the lessons you've learned in that class and then emphasize those. Don't look at this loss over here. Instead, look at all the wins you had in this entire year. Okay, it wasn't a short time frame. You had a whole year to ultimately learn, to figure out, to struggle, to go through and, come out of that struggle and so on. So it wasn't meaningless. Let's put it that way. In fact, I failed my AP Lang exam. And it sucked, but you know what? My writing skills, I had such a great teacher. And my writing skills completely shot up that year. If you'd compared my 10th grade writing, because that's when I took AP Lang, to even the year before, there was a vast difference. It could have been written by 2 different people, okay? So it was worth it. It was worth it for me to go through that experience, and the teacher was amazing, but yeah, I didn't get the college credit for it. So that's okay. But main point is it depends on how you frame it. What story are you telling around this failure? And if it's even worth addressing. If it's just one score that you didn't do so well on, leave it alone. You can mention it in your application, but you don't have to you don't have to give it any airtime. Just move on, okay? Show them all the other wins that you would have had instead of this one score that you didn't do so well on. And make sure that your grades for your AP class are higher than your actual AP score. So remember, your grades are not connected in any way to your AP exam score. And parents, this one's mainly for you because I think the teens might have already learned this from having been in class, but your grades come from your school. Your AP scores comes from College Board, the main nonprofit that is in charge of SATs, PSATs, APs, and a few more things. But 2 different entities are providing these numbers. So as long as you did well in the class, your GPA is not impacted. All right? So that's approach number 1, which is simply framing the whole thing correctly so that it's not a loss. It doesn't appear like it was all meaningless. And it wasn't. It was not meaningless, but you have to make sure that you frame it that way as well. All right? So that's option number 1. Option number 2 is to just not share it. While it's not common, there are students who take the AP class because it is the higher level class. It does, if you do really well, it is a nice boost to your GPA. It is a good challenge, all of that. So students take the class, but then they choose not to take the AP exam because maybe they don't feel ready for it. That's been done before. And maybe if you don't submit your score, the university is just going to think that you're one of those students. Okay, so at no point does your AP score just automatically go to the university. Not unless your high school includes them in your transcript, but it's really rare because your scores are, again, they're 2 separate entities, right? So your scores from your AP are not connected to your transcripts and what you did in school. So unless you just have one of those high schools that connects everything and pulls it together and puts it on your transcript, university has no way of knowing what you scored, how you did on the AP exam. So you could just not list it out. All right, that's kind of it for this one. And I'm so sorry. It sucks when you fail an AP exam. I do remember that. I have been through that. It was a little mind-shattering because I had higher expectations of myself academically, and you just take the loss and live life after that. It is what it is. Once you give yourself a month to mourn it, but after that you will come out of this and you will be okay and better for it. So just hang in there, and if you have any questions on any of this, just let me know. Post in the comments below and I will get back to you. All right, so that rounds out this particular video. I will see you in the next one. And as a favor, if you did like this video, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I am trying to build this channel just to help families learn some of the basics of what surrounds our college applications process and how to navigate it, because there's too much going on and not everyone knows, and some mistakes they cost you. So please subscribe and please share with a friend if possible. I'd really appreciate it. All right, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.